हम भाजपा कार्यकर्ताओं के लिए एक गर्व की बात है कि हम सब जिस दल में काम कर रहे हैं, जिस दल के आचार, संस्कार और विचार ने हमें गढ़ा है, उस दल की और उसके कार्यकर्ताओं की आज विश्व भर में चर्चा हो रही है। आज बीजेपी की पहचान दुनिया के सबसे महत्वपूर्ण राजनीतिक दल के तौर पर होने लगी है। आज भाजपा की तुलना दुनिया की उन ऐतिहासिक पार्टियों से होने लगी है जिन्होंने अपने शासनकाल में अपने देश का भाग्य बदल दिया था।
On Tuesday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in his speech, made an interesting reference to an opinion piece that appeared in the Wall Street Journal recently. The piece, titled "India's BJP is the world's most important party," also created a lot of buzz in the Indian media because it makes some very interesting observations about the ruling party. What was this piece all about, and what does it say? Written by prominent US academic and scholar Walter Russell Mead, the WSJ has exhorted the West and the US to engage more deeply with the BJP. Professor Mead says that it is the most important foreign political party in the world for the US, and from the standpoint of its own national interest, the US has to engage more meaningfully with the BJP to counter the rising power of China. He also says that the BJP is the most misunderstood party in the world. Who is this academic? Professor Mead is a scholar of the US foreign policy at the Hudson Institute who previously taught at Yale University. He is a respected voice of reason with wide-ranging interests and scholarly credentials. He has authored books and articles on many topics, including geopolitics, strategic relations, religion, anti-Semitism, West Asia, Israel-US relations, Ukraine war, China, and others. He also writes a column for the WSJ called The Global View. What does this opinion piece actually say? The BJP under Narendra Modi, Professor Mead says, is headed for a third consecutive term after spectacular victories in 2014 and 2019, which is why he says it's important to understand the ideology and trajectory of the Hindu nationalist movement. He says that as tensions with China rise, the US needs India both as an economic and political partner. And a better understanding of the BJP will help not just the investors and business leaders, but also policy makers and diplomats to have a stable foreign policy on ground. He makes an observation that the BJP is poorly understood and says this is mainly because it grew from a political and cultural history that most non-Indians are not familiar with. This is where he makes some interesting comparisons. He says that it is similar to the Muslim Brotherhood because it rejects many Western liberal ideas but also embraces key aspects of modernity. Professor Mead also says that BJP is like the Chinese Communist Party because it hopes to lead the nation into becoming a global superpower, and like Israel's ruling coalition, he says that the BJP uses a combination of pro-market positioning, traditional values, and brings together people who have resented being excluded and despised by an erstwhile political elite whose thinking was rooted in Western thought. Now, on the criticism that the BJP and RSS often face for driving the Hindutva agenda, Professor Mead contextualizes it, citing examples from different realities that India witnesses. He talks about a resurgent Hindu pride, occasional outbursts of mob violence, anti-conversion laws, but goes on to say that India is a complicated place and there are other stories as well. Here he refers to BJP's victories in Christian-dominated northeastern states, UP BJP's acceptance in communities like the Muslim Shias, and the efforts made by the RSS to fight caste discrimination on ground. Professor Mead also talks about his meeting with the UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath and RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat and says it was investment and economic growth that both of them spoke about. Mohan Bhagwat completely rejected the idea of any kind of discrimination against minorities, he says. Professor Mead also says that he interacted with several BJP and RSS leaders and even their critiques, and he got an impression that the leaders in India are looking to engage meaningfully with the outside world without losing touch with their political and social base. Professor Mead's commentary is important in the Indian context because the country is heading for elections next year. Apart from that, it comes at a time when India is holding the G20 presidency, and is working hard towards projecting itself as a powerful voice of the global South. While the RSS, all set to celebrate its centenary year in 2025, is expanding its social inclusion initiatives. That is why prominent voices like Professor Meads cannot be ignored.